Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. I'm so excited to introduce you today to the wonderful ladies of Yarnia, Amanda, Jen, Haley, and Kathleen. If you were watching last week, we took a tour around the Yarnia shop, which is in Montclair, New Jersey. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll make sure to link the video below. Go back and watch it, watch the yarn tour. It's a wonderful place, totally worth the visit. Today we're gonna get to an in-depth interview with the ladies of Yarnia. The ladies of Yarnia. Anyway, spoiler alert, they have a podcast too. It's super fun, you're gonna love it. I'll have all of their links down below, plus the shop. Go check out the whole interview. It's gonna be amazing. Oh, and I have a winner from the last video. So I'm gonna put your name here on the screen right now. If you won, email me nittynatty@gmail.com or natalie@nittynatty.com. Both of those work. And I will get you your wonderful Yarnia prize. All right, that's enough because I can't seem to get my words together. So let's go watch the interview. Welcome to Yarnia, you guys. I am here with everyone from Yarnia and I am so excited to introduce them to you. I'm gonna let them do it themselves. So why don't we start over here?
I'm Amanda.
I'm Jen.
I'm Haley.
I'm Kathleen.
So I wanna hear more about you guys and what you guys do, like knit, crochet, and more, maybe?
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm Amanda. I'm a knitter, but my second crafting language is crochet. And I also do photography. I practice photography. And
Are you wearing something knitted right now?
Yeah, I'm wearing something knitted.
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing Franca by Julie Weisenberg.
Awesome. What about you, Jen?
I'm Jen. I am predominantly a knitter. I also do crochet, which took me years to finally have it click, but it finally clicked in my 30s. I spin. I weave, primarily tapestry weaving. I embroider and needlepoint. What else do I do?
She's written crafting books.
I've written
and been published.
I wrote a craft book for tween girls in the early 2000s. Called
Wait,
DIY Girl.
What was it?
DIY Girl.
DIY Girl.
That would be
Okay.
so
DIY
cool if you
Girl.
actually had
Marble
that.
magnets, among other things. And a slightly terrifying Barbie hand jewelry box that I really wanted to get. It's dismembered Barbie hands. It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
That's very in right now, I guess.
It is very in right now. It's got glitter on the front. It's very 2001, 2002. Out of print, but was published in Polish.
Wow.
In addition to English. Yeah, I was
Only Polish.
a weird thing. But anyway, I'm predominantly a knitter. And my mom's a seamstress, so I do know how to sew, but I don't actually sew. Maybe sews.
Ish. Yes. I used to sew.
And I'm wearing Soldatna, which is in cotton cashmere. Beautiful.
So I think I am a capital C crocheter, but now newly initiated sock knitter. And then
Your socks are fabulous.
and I know how to sew, embroider, needlepoint, but mostly into yarn now.
Yep. And I learned to crochet when I was probably 8 from my grandmother, and I crocheted for a few years, and then I decided I wanted to learn how to knit, and no one in my family knew how to knit, but there was a knitting store on my block where I grew up in Brooklyn.
How can you?
So yeah, so I went and I learned how to knit. My first project was an alpaca sweater, which
Yes.
is
Oh my
I
gosh.
found out I'm allergic to alpaca.
After
So I never could wear it. I never could wear it, but I gave it to my mom.
Okay, good.
And I knit for like the next 10 years, and then I stopped for a while, and then my sister Irene got me back into knitting when you were like 5, I guess.
Yeah.
So like 15 years
I
ago.
remember it. There was like a book.
Well, it was Thanksgiving. We were at Thanksgiving at my brother's house, and she handed me a ball of Regia sock yarn and some needles and said, "You're going to make socks." So I did. And Jen worked with my sister. That's we didn't know each other, but
we lived in the same town
for like over
Like
10 years.
not even a mile apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
and,
And we
never
never-
ran into each other.
And I
I mean,
worked with
I-
her sister at
And she kept saying, everyone was like,
Every single time.
to Jen, you've got to run into my sister Kathleen. And she said to me, you've got to meet my friend Jen. And
at one point, Irene was like, she looks just like me. I'm like, yeah. They do. They look very much alike. And I worked with Irene for 16 years.
Before
Before I met
Small world.
Kathleen.
Yes.
No.
Small
So
world.
anyway, so yeah, I made a few pairs of socks, but then I got kind of back into all of the rest of knitting too.
So primarily knitter.
Oh, definitely knitter.
Yeah.
But
No
I do love,
scratch
I have a couple of embroidery projects going on, and I definitely also know how to sew. I was a costume design major in college for a while.
Oh wow.
So I'm a reformed sewist. I hardly ever do it anymore. I even have a sewing room on
I
the
know
third
we
floor of
have
my house.
fabric stash, but have we touched it in years?
No, I used to make project bags.
Knitting
not
is
anymore.
just portable, so it makes
Yeah,
it so
Yeah,
much
Yeah.
easier.
for sure. I know. I was thinking.
But yeah,
should
you
I
can
work
do
on my
knitting
socks?
in found time.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a mother-daughter
Yes.
team.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's how you guys know each other. And then it sounds like you guys met.
Yes.
Well, all three of us know each other.
From the
From the same
Montclair
place.
knitting
All three
circle.
Oh, okay. Tell us about
Yeah.
that, because I was
Yeah.
curious how you guys
Yeah.
got together and,
Mhm.
and came up with Yarnia. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so the Montclair Knitting Circle started in 2016, right?
Mhm.
In 2016.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They started in like May of 2016. I left corporate job April of 2016. So I was
Mhm.
commuting in and out of New York City. Had like my whole social life was in New York City.
Yeah.
Even though like I have kids and they go to school here, when you're
If you're
there
working in the city,
12
you're-
hours a day,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
between like leaving and coming home, that's your whole life.
Yeah.
And then you come home, you cook dinner, you do homework, go to bed, wake up,
Yeah.
go to city,
Rinse and repeat.
come back home, homework, dinner, bed.
Run for the train.
Right. Yeah, so I was at home and I'm like, I know no people in Montclair. And found on Facebook Barbara, who's
Mhm.
like the captain of
Mhm.
the Montclair Knitting
The
Circle.
head of the Montclair
Mayor.
Knitting
Yeah.
Circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband calls her the mayor because she knows
Yes.
everyone.
She
She
knows
does.
everybody.
She
Yeah.
loves
Barbara.
everyone. Well, she's involved in so many different groups. She's
So many, yeah.
a key person
Oh, fantastic.
in the
Yay,
Montclair
Montclair.
community band.
This is very appropriate for like the
It is
Northeast.
so
I'm
good.
walking
Yeah.
here.
Hey! Out of my way! It's true.
Oh man.
It's true. I didn't realize, because your timing and my timing is very similar, because in 2016, I also quit I was a children's book editor at Penguin for 16 years, got burned out, quit in 2016. And also, like, I had known about the knitting circle when it first started, but I hadn't been able to go to any meetings
Right.
until
Mhm.
after I was like, is that goes?
Yes.
That's
basically was my exit. for
Right.
sure.
And so then I, showed up on the Tuesday morning Montclair Knitting
Yeah.
Mhm.
circle, and finally met Kathleen
Mhm.
Yeah.
after
Well, I
working
think
with
we
her
met,
sister.
Did we meet at one of their outdoor things? I feel
We
like
did.
that
We
was
met
where
at the first
Yeah.
outdoor.
they had
At the Knit in the Park thing when
Yes,
you were
the
knitting.
knitting in public day.
When you were
that
knitting.
that may be when you
That's
and
when you and
met.
I met.
Yeah.
Chanel was there too, but you were
Mhm.
knitting on your Hamilton.
The Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
the
Or
amigurumi.
crochet.
Yeah.
you're
yeah.
crocheting.
Yeah.
Very
The-
cool.
it's- and it looks just like Irene's husband. Actually, it looks more like him than the It's crazy. It looks like Al. But
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
all met through the circle.
we went through
Yeah.
the circle. I was actually the very first meeting of the Montclair Knitting Circle.
Really?
It was
Wow.
at
It was at
Mary
somebody's
Krugman's house.
Oh,
Yeah. And it was funny because I had left the corporate world a few years before that and had part-time jobs in the area. I knew, Haley was still in elementary school
I
at
was
that point.
fourth
You were,
grade,
yeah. And
Oh, wow.
I was just like, I do not want to go back to the city, not with,
Yeah.
just like, it's funny. I'm not a baby person. Like when she was a baby, I was so happy that I found some place that she could be and be happy and be stimulated by people other than me.
Yeah.
Because I just know I'm not really good with babies. They're like,
Mhm.
they don't talk. They don't.
I don't believe that because you're so good with.
She's a baby
You
person.
know what?
I'm good with them for like 15 minutes
they're
or
not
half
your-
hour if they're not around me 24/7. So
Handle
anyway,
that.
by fourth grade, it was like I don't want to
Yeah.
leave this little nugget in Claire by herself. While I'm coming home from work at 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, depending on what's
Exactly.
going on.
Yeah, that's
So-
rough.
Yeah, so I looked for opportunities, closer to home. And then, literally, as it says on the website, like one day I was like, because I had done this part-time job for like 3 years and it was okay. It was like, it was a reasonable amount of money. It was,
destination.
and
Right,
honestly,
for sure.
there were certain things about it that just physically were making me sick. Like there was somebody who was smoking in the building, and I have a really bad.
No smoking around the yarn.
Sensitivity.
No.
Not allowed.
No,
Ever.
no, but just like, you know, in the place where I was working, even though it's illegal to smoke indoors in New Jersey, it's, you know, they were not stopping these people from smoking, and I was getting migraines almost daily.
Oh, that's
Wow.
And so that was why I quit that job. And so I was at, you know, one of my first
We were sitting
meetings,
next to each other.
one of my first meetings of the month or knitting circle, and was like, you know, I don't know, I probably need to go back to something corporate. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And you said, "Oh, I wish I could work in a yarn store. It would be nice if we had a yarn store in Montclair."
We used to have 4.
Yeah.
Wow.
There were so many yarn stores here. It was crazy
Yeah.
because we were
And I'm
customers
sitting
at all
next
of
to
them.
her, and I am an enabler when it comes to starting businesses.
Yes,
She really,
is really good at
really
that.
is.
Yeah. I'm an enabler. Anytime somebody's like, "I think we should start this. What do you think about this idea?" I'm like, "You could start
Let's
that
do it.
business."
Let's do that.
Yeah. And so,
Oh,
yeah,
this
I
is
said, "You could start a yarn store in Montclair." And Kathleen's like, "No, I couldn't." And I'm like,
I
"Sure, you could."
couldn't do it by myself.
Yeah.
No,
And I'm
that
like,
was
I'll do
definitely-
it with you.
There you go. I was gonna say, did
Yeah.
you immediately
Yeah.
like?
Of course
She
I
did.
Say
did.
I'm gonna do
And
it.
like that weekend, she was at my house. She rode over on her bike. She had brought her computer.
Yeah.
We're like, all right,
Yes,
let's get a
I
business
love
plan
it. I
And
together.
we're
love it.
actually around the corner too.
Yeah, we're
Like,
like, you know, we
it's crazy.
should have known each other. We're practically like 2 blocks apart.
Yeah.
So what year
So-
was this that Yarnia?
This is
started?
2017.
Yeah.
This was like
Yeah.
April,
Yeah.
like, well, probably February, March.
Yeah.
And then April was the Wool Walk that year. And so we
Yes.
went to a bunch of stores together and with another colleague who's our first employee actually, who's now moved to Colorado.
Mhm.
And we looked at all these stores and we're
Recon.
like,
Yeah.
but partly thinking like, you know, it's like, hey, you know, yeah, we know about this
We
stuff.
could
We
do
could
this.
actually
Yeah,
do
we
this.
could do
We
this.
And like we saw things we liked and we saw things we thought we could do better.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. It's like,
I basically I heard about it and I was like, I want in.
Yeah.
Like, don't leave me out.
Well, Jen kept saying, you know, if you need a little more financial backing, I'm here. I'm ready to help. And we are so lucky that we listened to her.
Yeah.
Aw.
She's like the knitting knowledge, the prime person.
Yeah,
in
how
our
many
group.
years
Yeah.
between? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
So
3 of
true.
you. Your knitting experience.
Like
But I mean,
25 for me.
Yeah, I'm about 20, but I did
God, I
mostly
used to do math.
stockinette
Yeah.
until
And you're like 40
we started-
or
I started going
something.
to
Yeah,
the
I
I'm
feel like
like
with the 4 of us,
38.
it's
Mhm.
like close,
And-
well over 100, I'd say.
Isn't that crazy?
Cumulative years of knitting
Oh, I
experience.
taught Haley to knit when she was
7.
6 or 7 and homesick
Yeah.
from school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Helen and I
Yeah.
started at the youngest ages,
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah.
but I'm just older. Way older, way older than her.
Yeah, I will say that, like, if you're in New York and you're like, wow, these people are always rushing and they seem really rude, it's probably because they're trying to catch a train and go home to their family. Because if
I
you
have
don't
to
catch
run
that
to the
train, it's another
It's an
45
hour
minutes
or
that you miss
something.
with your kids that
That's
day.
why I quit
So
my
we're not
corporate
trying to be
job.
rude.
Yeah.
We're not trying to, like, not
Yeah.
answer your questions about where stuff is, but we cannot miss our train.
Right. New Jersey Transit 6:45 is leaving at 6:45 or 6:46 and
Yes.
then sitting for 20 minutes. But like,
You
But
gotta
not
be
close
on
the
it.
doors.
You gotta be
They
on
close
it
the
at
doors
every
and then they
time.
move 5 feet and then they sit there for a little bit. But if you're not on the train,
but
with
if you're
you-
not on it,
And it's probably full by then anyway, so you don't really
Oh.
want them letting more people on.
Yeah.
this is one thing about
This
the
is
Northeast that you'll learn.
pre-pandemic too. This
Yeah.
is, obviously.
We'll all talk about our commutes, whether it's current
It's like the
or
pain
former,
point that everyone
or
It's like
you
a
know,
badge
together.
of honor.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
To
Totally
meet
is.
that you're doing.
The first time
It's
you
shared
cross
misery. It's
Yeah.
shared-
Yeah.
the first time you cross the street and a taxi tries to hit you and you slam on the hood and be like, "What?" You'll be like, "I've arrived."
I love it because we've only been in New York for 5 weeks.
Wow.
Everyone is so nice.
Yeah.
See, New Yorkers are
They
very.
are. It's but as
friendly.
you said, it's usually just that
nice.
people are in a rush.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
they have some place they need to be in 8 minutes.
Mhm.
Right.
Yes.
And
And I appreciate like directness. It's like we've made friends already.
that's so cool.
That-
That's great.
I don't know. It's just like,
Mhm.
hey, we want to be your friend. I'm like, okay, cool. Great. Come sit
Well-
with us. Okay.
And they'll tell you. Oh, do you have to run?
You have to
I'm
run.
late for my meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Speaking of enabling businesses, I started another one. So,
She did.
She's a serial entrepreneur.
yeah.
She
Yes.
is. She is.
What is it? Is
yeah.
it yarn
She's
related?
quite good at it.
No,
Yeah.
not at all. It's
Completely
insurance.
different.
Insurance.
Back to the insurance.
So I have to get on a conference call.
Cool. Thank you so much. Let's talk about events.
Mhm.
Okay, so what kind of events do you guys have or you have had, because I know it's different right now, you know, with everything going on.
Mhm.
But what kind of events do you guys normally do and classes as well?
Yes. So we try to continue to do classes even during the pandemic, even though we couldn't meet in person on Zoom. But we tend to have like a full slate of classes, whether it's knitting 101, crochet 101, then some intermediate classes, you know, skill-based or project-based. I do a Sunday sweater class pretty much once a season. And I try to do a different sweater each time. So, you know, some folks like having a class to keep them on track.
Yeah.
Some folks like to have a class to build their skills, or both. And that way there's always something new going on.
And those run for like 8 weeks. So you
Yeah.
really have plenty of time. It's like, you know.
To finish your project or like get most of the way through. So we were doing those in person pre-pandemic, and we did have a pretty robust intermediate class. Like we had 4 classes a
We
week?
had like 32 people a week.
32
for
people a
the
week.
intermediate.
Oh my
It was so fun. It was
goodness.
something
It was
Jen and
so-
I
I loved it. It was so
co-taught.
awesome.
We wound up doing
Wow.
4 sessions because we had the same table in our old store.
Yeah.
And we would have 8 students, and like we started with 8 students on like either a Thursday or a Friday, and then more and more people wanted to come, so we did like a noon session and a 1 p.m. session. And then more and more people wanted to come, so we did that both on Thursdays and Fridays.
Yeah.
And we always still had a waiting list. It was crazy.
So you could basically, like, it was a 6-week session. You could come 4, 5, or 6 times and just pay for the classes that you were going to attend.
Mhm.
And then it was individual projects. So like whatever you were
It was
working
whatever,
on.
and we really found that worked so well. Like
It was great.
just instead of sometimes like when, and this has been happening, you know, one of our instructors who's only taught, well, she used to teach with us in person, but she's really our main Zoom person, other than Jen with her, you know, her sweater class and things. She, you know, you spend time, you put together a class, and then like you think it's going to be appealing, and then you don't get as many people signing up as you want. So we had the same kind of thing with, you know, it's hard to find something that everybody wants. Whoops, sorry. That is my Claritin reminder. As anyone, that's the funny thing. So
Anyone who took the intermediate class
was saying, Kathleen, take your Claritin, because they
the
know.
alarm would go off, and then they'd be like, Kathleen, you gotta take your Claritin.
Take it before the alarm keeps
Allergies are no joke,
They're
though.
no
That's
joke.
so true, especially right at this time of the year.
But it was great because we had repeat customers, and we really
Yeah.
built our community, and you know, we miss kind of doing that in
Oh,
person.
we totally
so
miss it, yeah.
But
we, you know, so people would like pick their own project, and we would just help them.
Yeah.
And like, so we would both rotate around the table. And you know, some weeks you get to the point where it was almost just like a knit night. It was like, you know, a knit afternoon kind of thing where everyone's just sitting working together. When there were things that either of us would be helping somebody with that we
You'd
felt could
literally
benefit
just be like,
everybody.
Exactly.
We'd say, no, but also we'd say, hey guys, look, we're going to do an iCard bind off on this now. So anyone who was there, everyone,
watch.
you know, this is something, if you don't know it yet, it's worth watching.
Yeah.
And so they were the best. They were the best classes. We had so
Yeah.
much fun doing those.
So hopefully we'll
one
be able
day,
to come
one
back
day.
to that in person, especially as like the vaccination rates in New Jersey and everywhere are you know, getting higher. I'm like, I totally lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so we
People
do.
are, getting more comfortable coming
Yes.
back and doing
Mhm.
so. I mean, you just had
Exactly.
the wool walk, right?
Yes, we
We
absolutely
did.
had the wool walk.
Yeah.
So like in terms of events, like we have classes that run kind of continuously around the year, and then Zoom, and then hopefully soon in person. And then also in terms of events, we have the wool walk is an annual event that is how long has that been going on?
Oh,
The
I
New
don't
Jersey
even know.
Wool Walk.
I don't even know. I mean, at
A
least
while.
10 years probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the most recent one, there were 13 stores participating. And
Yeah.
And that wasn't
the
even
year
all of them.
before was like 21 or 22.
Yeah.
The year before was even more. But yeah,
It helps that Jersey is a small state, so you
It really does.
actually
You
can
actually
get
can do
from
it.
top
You
to
actually
bottom.
can do it.
Yeah.
We have a customer who's like been to every store every year, I think.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That
she's-
requires some planning.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
she literally took
during
the week off. I mean,
Yeah.
this
days,
time
yeah.
she works really hard all the time, and
Yeah.
she now lives in the middle of Pennsylvania, so she planned this as like a real escape.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
The great thing I think about this year's Wool Walk was that instead of just a weekend, because previous years it has been
3 days.
it's 3 or
Or
4 days.
Thursday,
Which is
Friday,
like-
Saturday, Sunday.
It's a very intense 3 or 4 days,
Yeah.
especially from like a shopkeeper's perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our very first one, we were in our original space, which was like really 300 square feet of floor space. The whole space was 400 square feet, including the bathroom.
Yeah.
So, and the back, behind the register. It was so tiny. At one point, we had 30 people in there, and like most of them were waiting to check out. It was crazy.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah. 4 wool walks ago. Yeah, or 3 wool walks ago. It was so crazy. So obviously, this is the second wool walk we've done during the pandemic, and every store does their own policies, but because we have almost 1,000 square feet here, we could have up to 8 customers at a time. We pretty much, any of the busy times, we had 3 people working. One was working the door, one was working the register, one was helping with questions. And that worked really well.
It works great.
And my main job on the weekends, because I work all the weekdays, was bringing everyone food.
Yeah.
To keep them motivated and not hungry. And
it's like lunch.
It's hard to answer question after question when you're hungry, right?
Yeah.
So that was I was
We were all
the food
so
bringer.
It's good. It's good. And I mean, we also have our birthday sale. Our anniversary.
So we tend to have 2 sales a
Is
year.
that coming up soon? Because I know you said
August, September.
September.
August, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we started in September, late September the year we opened in 2017. Yeah. So I'm sure we'll do that again.
Yeah.
It overlapped with the postponed Wool Walk last time.
Yeah, last year. Yeah, the Wool Walk was right. The Wool Walk
April,
of 2020
April,
was right when the
2020.
pandemic was going into high gear. So that got postponed like 6 months. So we just had one combined sale. But this year we'll do a September sale again for sure. Yeah.
Now, do you guys sell online?
We do. We
Oh,
have,
Ooh.
thanks to Amanda, who's not here to take
I
credit.
know. Shopyarnia.com.
We have a really nice website. She does the photography for virtually everything. It's funny. I take a lot of her pictures for Instagram and for the newsletter and stuff, like the quick and dirty. Just get it done. Send it over to Jen so she can do her newsletter magic every Sunday. And I'm like, I thought those kid pictures look really nice. Would you consider putting them on the website? She's like, yes, I'm going to use those. I was like, woo! I have to have pictures on the website.
Skills up. Amanda's got a very high bar for photography. She's an excellent photographer. But yeah, so almost everything in the store. Most everything.
Most everything. I mean, like our Swifts and winders, like they're so heavy to ship. We do free shipping for $100 and over, and $8 flat rate shipping for anything under that.
And if you're local, you can always order.
pick up, and you can select, like when you go to shipping, you can say pick up in store,
which is
no charge for that. Of course,
a great option.
Well, then it locks the stuff in. That's the thing. Like
then
now,
you're guaranteed to get it.
Yeah, because we get a fair number of web orders, so like people still sometimes will come in and say, "Oh, can you hold this for me?" I'm like, well, I can take it off the floor, but if somebody orders it online, and they paid for it, it is theirs. Yeah. So, we definitely recommend, especially when people are buying like for a project, buy as much as you need for,
totally.
For that blanket, you think you need 10 skeins, buy 12, we will take the other 2 back within 6 months.
Just in case.
We'd rather people have what they need for the project than be almost done like that one poor guy.
Oh,
not only
it's heartbreaking. I mean, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
Where you're so close to done, you're playing yarn chicken, and you're still like, I have like 10 more rows of a shawl left, and you're out.
Well, and not only that, with this particular yarn, I remember, I think I was the one who talked to him initially, and he's like, I think I can get away with 5. I'm like, I would buy 6 skeins. Just in case. He ran out of yarn. Not only were we out of it, the company had discontinued it. So we couldn't. It was the King Cole Tutti Frutti, which Amanda and I both love.
That's a nightmare.
It's such a cute color, and they truly discontinued it.
That is
and he was a pretty new crocheter. So like the whole idea that a company would discontinue yarn, he was just like, what do you mean? You can't get it. I'm like,
that is every crafter's nightmare.
It is. So I did suggest to him to go look on Ravelry and see if anyone had it in their stash, might be willing to sell it, all of that. I don't know.
You don't know the end of the
No,
story?
he didn't. He didn't. He was really very unhappy that day. I don't remember his name. I could probably find him in our system.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So now that's our rule.
Well, it's like if you ever,
that
I mean, we always thought that, but to truly have that actual full situation happen, we're like, the absolute worst case.
We can't fix it.
Well, but we do have coordinating colors. So like, well, maybe you can edge it in one of the solids that goes with that speckly.
Well, and that's like the benefit of having like a local yarn store is where you can go and you can ask opinions
get that advice.
and kind of like get yourself out of a crisis situation or whatnot. And I mean, I feel like we have such a great staff of folks who
we do
work at the store who are just amazing. We love them so much.
Yeah. So actually, like we were saying, like the 3 of us are the partners, and then Haley is our podcast partner now. So she's been home during the pandemic, and it really has been our really our crochet.
Rep and crochet.
Repping the crochet, absolutely.
Love that.
Stacia is here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and she's amazing. She's a designer as well as working with
Stacia
us.
Green.
Stacia Green,
Okay.
Insatiable Knits on Instagram.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
isn't that cute?
Yeah.
Isn't that, yeah, that's
She
been her
is-
Ravelry name forever.
That's such a good
And,
name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's such an amazing designer. She
Mhm.
does
She's
brioche.
gorgeous stuff.
Oh, stunning.
Brioche princess.
And she also teaches for us as well.
Yeah, she does. She's one of our other teachers. And Marcella works with us, works with me on Thursday afternoons, and then Vivian and Haley and Amanda trade off over the weekends. So Jen does newsletter and
I do
teaching
newsletter
remotely,
classes and
and
yeah.
class organization, all of that, scheduling with our other instructors.
And when my kids are eventually back in school full time,
We'll get back to those intermediate
sometime
classes.
soon. We'll get back to the intermediate classes because
Mhm.
I will be free of my
Yeah.
house prison.
Yeah.
It's
And I'm like-
amazing how you guys all work together, like, and all bring what your strengths. It's
It
really,
really is,
cool.
like,
It is.
layers.
Well, I feel like none of us would have done it individually.
Oh gosh, no.
All right.
There's no way.
I mean,
Yeah.
but
It's the
we
combination
really,
that
we're so lucky
makes
too,
it
because
physical.
like, you know, we liked each other from the circle, like Amanda said, you know, she enabled it. Like it was, I wasn't even really saying I wanted to open a yarn store. It was just like, that's
It was just like
5 years later, 4 years later.
and you're like, with a yarn store.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, tell us more about the podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's where everyone can interact with you. Because
Right,
I'm
right.
guessing, I do have a question though. For your Zoom classes, are they going to kind of, as in person comes back, are you thinking, are you going to keep some Zoom? Can people
That
join
was
you around the country?
Excellent
I think
question.
I think we will.
On
I think
midnight
we
who
will
are
too.
from places who like
Yeah.
we have someone
Yeah.
from West Virginia who always joins
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. In
It's-
events, like we have a weekly knit night,
Yeah.
which we moved to Zoom
Mhm.
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and that, you know, Haley said we got people from other places. I think we would
Someone
keep
on
some.
the last episode commented she's from Tasmania,
Mhm.
and so she
Cool.
just started and she watched
That's
it.
so
and
cool.
so she said
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna try to join in.
I
I was like,
love that.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like there is this kind of new flexibility that, you know, kind of everybody's seeing, like the
Mhm.
ability to work from home, the ability to work from vacation, the ability to do things that you wouldn't normally be able to do without being present,
Mhm.
physically present.
Yeah.
And there are so many advantages to the Zoom class in that you can have more people present, but
Mhm.
also we can record it so you can go
Yeah, we
back.
record them. People can rewatch what they want.
Right.
You know,
So if you
or if
miss
somebody's
a
going to
class-
miss. We used to have people not sign up for a class series, like, oh, I know I'm going to be away these 2 weeks. It's like, well, if you've got Wi-Fi where you are, you can join
You
live.
can join in.
And if you don't, you can watch it later. Watch
You
the
can
recording
watch
and
the
still ask
recording that we
questions.
send to the participants.
Yeah.
So
really
I would
incorporate it
Yeah.
into the
Mhm.
schedule.
I would love to find a way to do kind of, I hate to use the word hybrid just because like, again, hybrid
It's like
It's
her
like,
nightmare.
oh, I know. But you know, that kind of thing to have the ability to record and participate virtually as well as be in person, because to a certain extent there is kind of no replacement for being able to be like, here, let me show you how that yarn over
Sure.
works.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, you can demonstrate it, but hands-on is so thing. Is such a great thing. So
Yeah.
we're
No,
working
no,
on
I think people really have adjusted amazingly. I mean, I think
Oh, yeah.
like, I don't think we thought the Zoom classes would be as effective as they have been.
Yeah, they've been great.
We have, and our one instructor, Susan, you know, I mentioned a lot of our other staff, but, well, actually, we talked about Stacia, and then the camera cut out, and then we came back to Stacia, but did we say Marcella and Vivian? I
Yeah,
did.
we said
Okay,
Marcella.
all right.
Mhm.
So, and then Susan is one of our other instructors who has been working remotely. She's been,
Yeah.
you know, she's one of the folks that Jen schedules, and she's been doing our Zoom help. We do
Oh,
some
okay.
in-store help. Stacia and I on Monday, Wednesday, and sometimes Fridays do in-store help as well. We try to always do that when there are two people who can help in the store at the same time. And not on the weekends, because the weekends are usually really busy.
Yeah.
Weekends can get crazy.
Weekends can get busy here.
But Susan is amazing at the
Susan's
Zoom
and-
help.
And she's like, we've had so many people say, oh, well, just that doesn't work with my schedule, whatever. And I'm like, well, try the Zoom help. Just try it once. And so many people have been repeat customers with that too. So that's been really good.
Yeah, it's been really helpful. But I do think there are advantages to doing it both ways, and that's the kind of thing that I think as we move forward. I mean, and I would hope like a lot of yarn stores are kind of like figuring out how to do this, right? And to
Yeah.
service the community and the customers in ways that make sense for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's our goal is,
Yeah.
we love yarn, we love crafting, and we
Mhm.
want to be here for everybody else who loves yarn and who loves crafting.
Mm-hmm.
And like, coming up with ways to help folks. Like that's like the
Well,
most rewarding thing.
Yeah, and one thing we do actually a fair number of cows too. Like Amanda was wearing a sweater that she did in a cow. That it was actually a Coconuts cow, but Coconuts had yarn stores had the opportunity to kind of host their own sections of it. So she led the Yarnia section, and she had like 25 people, I think. She had a good number. Like really active. I mean, they met by Zoom like every other week, and a lot of people have finished their sweaters already, which is great.
Yeah, and our cows are usually free.
Yeah, and pretty informal.
And very informal as opposed to like a class which is paid and like you get a lot of information in a class and you get a lot of support in a cow too.
Yeah.
But like
and
there's something for everybody.
The fun thing about the cows, like the ones that we do, I feel like I was leading a Carbeth one. And the thing that's so nice is that like it's not just there's not an instructor, there's one person who leads it, but everyone contributes, which is so nice. You know, it really is. And we met for 4 consecutive Sundays by Zoom, and we had really good attendance considering like I hadn't done anything like that by Zoom yet. I hadn't led, I'm on knit night usually for at least part of the night every Wednesday, but they're really fun. And Amanda's going to do another one on there was a shawl that a local designer did for the Wool Walk, the Garden State shawl. So she's going to
there was a knitting and crochet.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And the crochet designer came. And you connected with her. That was
nice. Which is so great.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be happening, and you can register for our cows online on our
it's
website
on our classes
too.
page as well. Classes
so that's
and events.
where you can register for classes. You can register in store, and you could call up, or you can email. But like it's also everything is on our website, which is such a. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the way we all exist now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we can find you guys on
shopyarnia.com.
Shopyarnia.com.
Yep.
Our podcast is
Yes.
Chronicles of Yarnia.
Love.
And Amanda's a huge knitting podcast fan.
She really is.
Obviously now the rest of us are too. And so
We've gotten sucked in.
having explained to my husband, and I was like, it's not an audio podcast, it's like a video show, and he's like, I don't understand people. So
I know it is funny that knitting like uses the term podcast when it is visual too. It's like
it's not correct, but we know what we mean.
But we know what we mean.
Right?
And that's how
to
you
explain
know
it to Jane
other
too.
people.
Yeah. My husband he's like, no, it shouldn't be private.
He's like, are you just gonna be talking? And
that's
what
it is.
No, it's like video and recording with the camera. And it's like, so we've been doing that for 3 years? The store's been open almost
about 2
4.
years.
About 2 years. We're at episode 50.
I was gonna say, did you record 50 today?
We did record episode 50 today.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
And with the crazy, like partly how I think Amanda had been thinking about it a little bit.
Oh,
and then,
she came in with the goal. She's like, we're going to do a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just finding the right time.
Well, you know, the Espaster Co podcast, right? The Yarn Store in Montreal. Melissa from Espaster Co used to live around the corner from the original Yarnia in Montclair. Isn't that crazy? Because
a small world.
They lived in Montreal, then her husband was working here, so they moved here. And literally, she came in one day. It was a beautiful, like, snowy afternoon. I was the only one in the store. It was so weird. And, she came, we chatted for like an hour, and when she was leaving, like, I didn't know who she was until, I don't know, halfway through the conversation, but we were just having a nice conversation about knitting and everything, and I wasn't watching their podcast at that point. And then, she said, she's like, one thing, you guys need to start a podcast. So that was the thing that really did seal the deal.
And I feel like it also is one of those things where the 3 of us, like, A, we're all super chatty, right?
So chatty.
Extroverts. Beyond all belief. But also, like, Amanda's photography skills and her video editing skills. Because, again, if left to, like, I don't know about you, but left to my devices, I'd be sitting there with, like, a shaky, janky tripod and my camera and be like, hi. Like, there'd be no editing.
Yeah,
there'd be no editing. And it would be 3 hours long of me rambling and my train of thought leaving station, right? But, like, this is where it comes in really handy for us because, I come from an editing background and, like, content creating, right? And Kathleen comes from a marketing background.
Branding.
Wow. And then
that was my last corporate thing for, like, 15 years.
Yeah, like Amanda's photography skills.
And just her overall business skills.
And just her overall business skills. Like, it's one of those things where it both felt very natural, and she also had it in her head. Like, she was like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it both felt very natural and came about very organically.